So we all know that person, right? They don't call it trash talk for nothing, having to hop in the dumpster to hear that good juice. But we all know that somebody that always has something to say about somebody, always talking smack on somebody, always got the latest and the greatest gossip on somebody. And you may be thinking right now, like, I know someone all the time. That's all they ever do. They always have something on somebody else. But the truth is, as much as we want to point that finger, sometimes it's just as easy for us to point it back at ourselves. We live in a love hate culture, don't we? Now, I'm not talking about like the playful things like I love Lucky Charms and something I hate. I hate the Dallas Cowboys. But that, you know what I mean? There's not much, there's emotion behind it, but it's more of a playful emotion. It's more of a, hey, we just throw those words around loosely, love and hate. But love is a big deal. Love is a really big deal, especially to God. I mean, a God that loves us unconditionally, despite the wrong that we've done. And before you start rolling your eyes, hey, a lot of us we love to hate, right? So we're gonna be talking about gossip today, and it's really interesting, man. Just gossip. You know what I mean? It's kind of usually women get a bad rap that they're the gossipers, but men, we know just as well as easy it is to just drop a little dime on somebody, you know, about somebody else. But let's look at some reasons that some of us may have those natural intentions to want to gossip on somebody. Sometimes it's our own insecurities, you know, things that are inside of us that to take the attention off of us and kind of our flaws, you just highlight someone else's, and you know what I mean. You let that person shine on their, or you shine on them with your hate. Easy bonding. It's easy to jump into a crowd and if there's people you want to get to know, you know, by jumping in if they're talking about someone or saying something that's extra funny on top of that, or just plain fun and just making fun of somebody. You know what I mean? Like, yo, look at them busted shoes you got on. You know, that the tongue's sticking out. You know, the soles are talking. You know, maybe a competitive advantage. I know talking smack, like Jael always talking about how he beats Angelo up on Madden every day, which is probably a lie, but we're going to look at that too, the truth element. Usually we feel like it's okay to talk about someone because there may be an element of truth to it, but yet, you know, that truth can become a lie that you expound on, or you know what I mean, or you're just using that fact just because it's a fact doesn't mean it's not gossip that you're spreading other people's business to people who have no business knowing about it. And sometimes it's just simple innocent intentions. You know what I mean? It's like you just want to, you know, you're starting off, you just want to connect with someone, but there's something inside of us that feel like if we have more, if we have something to add, that would either get that person to like us more or think we're funny or whatever, then we just let it go. And you may not think, but I mean, we're talking a couple thousand years ago. There's a guy named Paul. We know him as the Apostle Paul, who had to deal with this thing when it came to believers. Now, gossip was still around, guys. Definitely 2,000 years ago. And we're going to look, Paul's writing a letter to the Christians that are in Ephesus. And Ephesus was a booming city. We know it as the book of Ephesians now. But Ephesus was it was a port city. So it was like New York. Just think of New York. You got the waters coming in. You got all different kinds of nationalities, you know, huge diversity, all religions. Everyone kind of, you know, crammed into this one place. Marketplace, you know, was booming. So there was a lot of opportunity to see people that weren't like you, see people that even were like you that try to act like another group. Who knows? But there was definitely gossip going on. You see the Colosseum, you know, the chatter was going on there. Just beautiful buildings. These are just remnants of what was there. But can you imagine it in its heyday? And just these long walkways of just marketplace and a lot of little clefts and rocks to kind of get around and get the dirt on just the differences of people. But Paul had something to say to these believers when it came to that, because he understood the culture, the kingdom culture, and how we're to love, you know, like God loves us. And it's easier said than done. And it maybe sounds whimsical because it's like, okay, how can you love the way that God loves if God's love is so, you know, we don't have to do anything to earn that love, whereas we feel like we need to earn love and respect from other people. But listen to what Paul says. He says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths." Unwholesome, Paul, when it was originally written, it was in Greek. And that same word that Paul used, that means unwholesome, you can translate it into rotten. So don't let any rotten talk come out of your mouths. And let's talk about rotten for a second. Can you imagine this is your Burger King burger or your Chick-fil-A sandwich, and you just see that rotten there? It's just like, you know what I mean? Like, who would want to eat that? But the truth is, it's not what goes into your body that defiles us. And we'll look at a verse that Jesus talks about regarding that very thing. But talking trash about somebody, talking unwholesome talk, like don't let any unwholesome talk come out of you. It's talking trash or gossiping. It rots. It literally rots. It can rot friendships. It rots relationships. And it certainly rots reputations when someone gets a bad rep of being the gossiper even. You know, nobody likes that person. I'm sure you can think of a lot of people. And guys, this isn't a middle school thing. It's not a high school thing. It's a people thing. You know, even adults, some of the adults are the worst at this, and some of them made a living. You know, we're talking about the Dish, you know, Dish Nation, TMZ, you know, all those things where people have made a living out of being gossips. And there's a real fine line, man, to you know what I mean, making that a career path and yeah, anyway. But just check this out. We all know that it has hurt friendships. A lot of us have had good friends that are no longer in your friend circle because you found out that they talked some gossip on you, and now you're just hating them, and it just you put fuel on the fire because something that was never probably even intended from the very beginning got out in a moment of weakness. Not only does it rot things around you, but it might actually be an indication of something that's something unwholesome, something unrotten that's inside of our hearts. And Jesus talked about this in the book of Mark in the Gospel, chapter 17. Verse 15. It's not what goes into your body that defiles you. You are defiled by what comes from your heart. So even if you ate that rotten sandwich, you know what I mean? That's not what's going to defile you. Just because you ate something rotten or you took something in. Unless it's something that you digest and you regurgitate and you spill it back out to other people. So you can't help what you hear, right? But you can help what you say. And there's a big difference of just translating and you're just like trying to play innocent. Oh, I'm just a messenger. I heard it from so-and-so and I'm just telling you. You better watch that exchange moment because it's not what you hear. It's not what goes inside of you that defiles you, but it's what comes out of your heart. It's what you speak out. And a lot of it can be straight up venom, man. Just straight up poison, both for you and for the people that hear it. So if love is such a big deal to God, why does hate, especially hating on people, seem to be such a natural part of our lives? I think it's just all those things that we talked about in the beginning. There's just, you know, it is a connect point. It is something that can bond people and bring people together, but the things that bring us together aren't always as good. I mean, we look at verses in the scriptures that say, you know, you say you love one another, but even the thieves, you know, and the criminals love each other and watch each other's back. That's like a gang, you know. It doesn't always mean it's good. But to be a follower of Jesus, man, we got to think about what we think about. Think about what you think about. And if there's dirt, if there's rot in your mind, get that thing right, man. Take that to the altar. Get that right with God. And pray that you can be self-controlled when it comes to wanting to spill that out on other people just to get some more attention on yourselves. So Paul finishes, he wraps up that same verse we looked at in the beginning. Don't let any unwholesome talk, don't let any rotten talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. So if you choose to build others up, care about their needs, and help them, you'll choose words that benefit them instead of words that bash them. And I know sometimes we want to get back at someone maybe that wronged us, but let's just consider that where Jesus says it's mine to avenge, you know. So let God take care of that, you know. I know it's a hard thing, you know. Jesus instructs us to love our enemies, and that's probably one of the hardest things that we can ever do. But even let's not get caught up in the trap to just try to gain friends or gain recognition or gain points in the gossip ring by knowing more. Feeling like you know more than others. But what you say about others says a lot about you. And you'll find this out. If you haven't found this out already, you'll find out later in life. Those same people, I can rattle off names right now, the people that were gossips, that were just troublemakers back then. And to this day, it puts a little bent in my mind of who they are. And I'm curious what they're like as adults. If that rot shows on them. So let's let this be the bottom line, guys. Let love be what you're all about.